What up, my freaks? RuinusInsight here with part 104 of my Total Warhammer 3 Vlad and Isabella Immortal Empires campaign. So as you saw last time, Aldous Fafbach outside of Fortress of the Damned while in the sea there, and did take out the forces of the decadent host, led by Sigvald himself. He was foolishly in march stance, and this appears to be something that his entire faction is up to, and because there's another army in march stance well within range of Aldous as well, which we should be able to take out. Lovely. In addition to that, and perhaps much more importantly, Mazdamundi was able to join our faction via us declaring war on the Thousand Maz, the most powerful other faction I believe that still remains a threat to us, as well as the Awakened. Unfortunate about Luther Harkin not becoming our vassal, but frankly, since he decided to throw his lot in with the followers who we're about to declare war on, the Thousand Maz and Clan Pestilence, it was very unlikely we would have ever been friendly with him. It'll be up to Nikolaus von Carstein and the Dread Fleet to be our vampire coast minions. Now, in terms of what we got to do this time, we have Malekith foolishly sieging us. In fact, we're about to get attacked in a bunch of places at the same time. The world may be in its death throes, but it's still, you know, kicking and screaming its way to hell. Anyway, Rudy. And do you want to attack Malekith? Honestly, this army is absolute garbage, but the fact that Malekith is leading it makes me want to fight it nonetheless. You know what? Let's do a few moves. Let's move a few armies around. Let's do maybe half of them, and then we'll send Rudy to fight. In fact, yeah. Peter, let's start with you, buddy. Where are you? Do you even need to move? We still have to destroy the Greybeard's prospectors, but they don't have much in the way of defenses remaining, and Nicola might actually be able to take care of them herself. Let's in fact move her to the Eye of the Panther right now. And the faction is pretty much broken. You can auto-resolve this, and even if you do take damage, we'll heal up. Occupy the Eye of the Panther, and a seasoned campaigner for Nicola. Very nice. And don't collect the income here as yet, but we'll see. And then we'll move to Vulture Mountain next, which is actually defended. You know, Peter, maybe you move in to help. Alright, fine. Go into March Stance, go right here. We also don't know whether Nicola can actually reach the place. It's not like we can declare war on these guys for another 5 turns, so we're gonna keep on waiting. Then we'll need to spread enough armies out to be able to take them out, essentially in one fell swoop. Unfortunately, their armies are within our territories, or very close to them at the very least, so we should try to shadow them or something, so that if it comes down to a fight, we can kill them instantly. Anyway, let's see what we've got in terms of other forces than Rudy. Peter's good. Roddy. You're heading out the same way that Renki went, which will mean a decent amount of attrition, but I don't see how we can avoid the situation. We could stay here for one more turn just to raid our own territory to heal up a little before heading out. And just for one turn. Like so. Right. Yeah, like this. In Dragon's Crossroads, heal to full, and then move out next turn via March Stance. Hopefully he doesn't get corrupted right now, with the one turn that we're in the corrupted territory. Well, I guess we'll see. He's bound to be close to corruption. Aldous, you're about to fight Renki. You are out at sea now, and we've got, what, 2 or 3 turns until you can reach Mazdamundi and start helping him with the Dark Elves down there. Assassin, you're following Renki out to sea. Alrighty, that's you guys. So wait for them to move, because the camera's going to get all screwy once they're done moving anyway. And there we go. Yos is good. Ermine. Ermine seems happy. She should be. She's doing a fantastic job. Let's get channeling. Actually, it doesn't really matter. We're just going to attack Crystal Spires. And close to feet. Oh, wow. These guys are actually going to put up a fight. All right, well, it looks like we'll be having to fight that as well. We have our pick of battles, I suppose. Vilmos, you got 2 more turns, and then you will have Ermine's Terracotta Sentinels ready. Who needs Mortis Engines? We're going Terracotta Sentinels. At this point, I'm not even going to get her a Mortis Engine. Screw it. She's been so effective that she can do without. Do we want to attack this? Now, you know what? I still think that I want to fight Malekith first. Let's start with that. Malekith it is. You guys don't really need levels unless you have a mentor level. No, and probably not. Yeah, no. Everything else is fine. Rudy attack. Oh, okay. He's sieged, but now he's gonna run. Oh, Malekith, you silly. You very silly. Pyrrhic victory for this? Really? Really? Okay, this is just the auto-resolve being wonky again. And as always, I feel like the auto-resolve actually dislikes the vampires. It feels like a lot of our forces, the auto-resolve is just saying insane things. These are frickin' dread spears. Dread spears, I tell you. But anyway, let's get to it. Alrighty, Rudy's back, though he's gonna have to maneuver through some trees to get to Malekith. A little bit unfortunate, but oh, what can you do? I wasn't expecting this map to be a completely treed up one. You had some very nice shots of dragon flying through the trees like that, though. Alright, well, we're coming upon Malekith, who's hovering overhead himself, and this will be a duel between these two. There's not a lot of other air support that the enemy has. In fact, there is none, but they do have all of those range units that we'll have to deal with. Fortunately, the rest of the army will move upon them and will hopefully stop them from firing. Now, let's compare the stats here briefly between these two. Alright, so Malekith's popping his Opal Diamond. He has Deadly Onslaught. Actually, stats-wise, it looks like Malekith is much stronger, and oh, wow, Word of Pain, minus 40 melee attack, and Discouraged. It looks like whatever is hurting Rudy has dropped his melee attack. Well, I guess the Word of Pain. It's not just the Word of Pain, though, is it? Oh, actually, minus 40 melee attack is considerable. Yeah, basically this makes Rudy not do any melee damage. Or, well, not get any attacks through. At least very, very rarely. It's 19 melee attack versus 80 melee defense. Quite interesting. Of course, this won't last forever, and Rudy will be able to out-heal it, I would imagine. Plus, his own melee defense is very high with his own defensive buffs popped. Anyway, let's keep watching this. We're going to pop a purple Son of Zareas below us, because if we can't attack, we might as well do something. Basically, the only reason I ever cast the spell is because it looks cool. It's pretty useless in the sense that unless you get it into a massive blob, it's just gonna do this and move away. Not good enough luck with the spell to actually have it move through the enemy lines, but that's fine because our own enemy lines are here to do the deed themselves. The Karen Wraiths and their scythes should be able to work through all these poor Dread Spears and such without too much problem. And there we go. On the bright side, though this may be a dark map, the Cairn Wraiths, as one of our armies, is one of our more visible armies because they're all glowy and ethereal, and thus we can actually see what the heck they're doing. Basically, not much to say about this particular battle from a tactical perspective. We expect all the enemy battle line to collapse after fighting the Cairn and Hex Wraiths over time, so we're just gonna give them time to do their work. Looks like we've caught some Cold One Dread Knights, or is this Cold One Spear? No, let's see, where are they? Where's the actual unit? I can't see it in the fray, it's in there somewhere. Well, there's Cold One Knights in there. And together with some Dread Spears, but they're getting ripped apart by Hex Wraiths, Chillgeists, as well as the Mourngulls. There looks like the enemy has activated Murderous Prowess, and I want to point out that these two have been hitting each other this entire time. Rudy is, of course, back up to full HP, and Malekith has actually dropped a little tiny bit. I also just realized he has 50% physical resistance. Oh, wow, very nice. Alright, looks like we have to get Rudy a something that gives him magical attacks. Maybe necessary. Malekith doesn't have any direct word say, but 50% physical resistance is very strong. He's basically like an ethereal unit himself at that point. And hey, look, we got some executioners fighting some zombies rather than helping out the rest of the army. The best enemy unit. And are these the? Yeah, these are the Blades of the Blood Queen. At least they can practice their whole executioner kill in one blow thing that they like to do against zombies. It's probably the easiest practice, though. Alrighty, well, it looks like the enemy army's flanks, by and large, have already collapsed or are in the process of collapsing. There's still a few units fighting in the center, but our army, our forces will essentially contract and destroy the elites that still remain. Still a couple spears fighting, led by the Helebrani. But I don't imagine they'll be around for much longer either. And as we can see, we still have the barriers active on our Cairn raids. So yeah, the Dread Spears really aren't doing anything to them. And there we go, just like that, the Helebrani will rout, and I do imagine the rest of the Dread Spears will follow suit. We're gonna head towards those Blades of the Blood Queen. And as I believe that'll be the last unit, and still several minutes in, Malekith and Rudy still fighting each other. Malekith popping that Opal Amulet, so adding that to the physical resistance, putting him to 70%. Really not going to take a lot of damage that way. Man, but Rudy can just continue healing. Oh, man. He takes no damage, we take damage, but we heal what we take. It's kind of an interesting dynamic. Oh, and it looks like, what, are the Blades of the Blood Queen gonna rout? Yes, they are, wow. And they get terrified. I guess this is pretty terrifying, watching their entire army get destroyed by ghosts and feasted upon by Mourngulls and whatnot. But at the very least, Malekith fought to the end. He didn't even really get all that hurt, but that's hardly surprising with the buffs that he has. Very, very nice. Alrighty, well, with that, his rather pathetic force will be destroyed. Malekith will actually move on to the field, and we just didn't have any real way to kill him. I also want to point out that I was popping Spirit Leeches on Malekith the entire time with Rudy, so his ability to tank damage is pretty fantastic. I'd love to see Malekith fight Vlad or maybe one of our Strigoi Lords as well, or even one of our Blood Knight Lords that has armor sundering and is a higher damaging lord. Though of course Rudy is pretty good. He's at tier 50 and we did build him out to be more of a fighter than your average Necrarch. So anyway, fun little fight. Alrighty, well, credit where credit is due, and hats off to a worthy foe, though Malekith can't take his hat off, but yeah. Rudy was whacking away at him for the entire battle, and yet still Malekith stood strong and continued fighting. I was pretty impressed with that. Well done, my friend, though your army left something to be desired. We obviously took no losses and very little damage, dealing with the Dread Spears and all that, but nonetheless, at least their lord proved to be strong. Let's go for, I mean, the replenish doesn't really do anything for us right now, so let's just take the money, even if it's relatively minimal. And what's this defeat trait? Frenzy for Rudy. Oh, that's lovely. That's lovely. For our strong Necrarch Lord, that's perfect. More damage and more everything. Charge bonus, damage, melee attack, beautiful. Alright, I'm pretty happy with that defeat trait. On many lords that already have Frenzy, it's useless, but I don't believe you did, so that's perfect. You are going to go into Channeling Stance for one turn, and then you'll hit Hag Grief next turn, I guess, with full HP. We don't really care about the Circle of Destruction. I suppose Kotep might come up here and take it. Maybe we should have tried to go after Kotep. I wonder what he's gonna do here. He barely has an army, but, our allies have by and large abandoned the shores or have been destroyed there, though they do have reinforcements coming in. Still, interesting. Alrighty, let's do some more moves before we fight anybody else. I suppose that we could also do like a regular non-cinematic basic battle against Kuchar here. I just feel like his army is so weak that he has no chance whatsoever against all this. But let's see what else we need to do. Yos has moved. Ermine. Alright, you're gonna... Okay, this has to be a cinematic battle because it's gonna be a siege. And the game says that it'll be a valiant defeat or whatever, so it sounds like it'll be a fun time for us. You, Wallach, keep moving. You got a long, long ways to go, my friend. Otto. to the Altar of Spawns. Well, let's occupy that, colonize it rather, and then we'll be trading it to the Ice Court shortly. Oh, lovely. Alright, you stay there, my friend. Dirk Barrackmere, you can jump to Doomkeep. And then afterwards you can head southward, whereas you, Waldekir, are going down to the Monolith of Catan. And except for a turn of attrition, but who cares. Well, let's head down to the Monolith, and this is the last territory belonging to the Wintertooth. Yes? Well, no. Monolith of Flesh. Alright, but they're pretty much done. We're basically done with the Norska, or at the very least with Wintertooth, as the main threat in Norska. I feel like Kuhar's trying to go to Serpent Jetty, but we should seek him off before he does. Oh wow, look at that. We may be nearly done with Throggy, but it looks like Ormgrim here is carrying on his spirit with all those ice trolls. That'll be a fun army to fight as well. I'm gonna get an army up there. Anyway, let's keep going. Who else still needs to move? Ermine, Wallach, Otto, you guys are good. Edmund. And you got places to be, my friend. Let us land you here. Man, we have no way to not suffer attrition, do we? Sea of Storms. Can we land in the enemy territory? This is water now. It looks like we can't. I think we have no choice but to suffer a turn of attrition. Oh, well. I don't see you having too much of a problem with Kugath, especially at the Scrap Towers. Maybe if he backed off to Flayed Rock, they'd have better defenses, but not like this. Yeah. Plus, I do want some more playtime for your army before the before all the enemies that remain collapse. Look at all of our allies. At least they're doing work, and it looks like they might be able to take out Maw Gate without our intervention, which would be just lovely. Speaking of taking stuff out, and we can't reach Floating Mountain. Alright, fine. You're gonna move up then, Jacob. You're gonna go to Raiding Stance so that you heal up a little bit. We're gonna lose one of these zombies and replace it with the Necromancer that we have right here. Alright, that'll help with the replenished troops, and the army will be maxed out. Next turn, at which point we attack the Floating Mountain. Though that'll probably be an auto-resolve as well. It's not like we really care about any of these territories. They shall all be either... Most likely they will be traded. You to the Volare. It's not necessarily that we absolutely need to trade them, it's just that I don't really feel like investing in them. We already have way too much admin to constantly deal with, though the Volare is an exception because we are keeping the Fortress of Eyes. Yeah, look at that. The Chaos Wastes are more vampiric than chaotic. Isn't it a beautiful sight to behold? Foster Terror for you, my friend. Looks like you don't need to actually... let's also build this up. You don't need to do anything else. Lovely. And then Werner can go in and reinforce Jacob Bachman up north. I'd love to delete both of these guys, but not until they link up with Ermine back here. Basically, if these four armies can take all this out, Ermine can advance northward herself, whereas we can delete these three because they're just temporary. Alrighty, let's keep going. Who else? That was not Nicola, that was not Richard, that was Jacob Bachman. Alright, but these guys have moved as well, so they're fine as they are. Let's... You are... Huh. Okay, so the enemies sailed away somewhere. Probably down here, because I guess these were targets that were too hard for them. Alright, that's fine. And Jurgen, you're staying here, and it looks like you'll be fighting King Behedson. This will be an epic battle, and will in fact possibly be a fight for your survival. I may give him items for this fight as well. Though, damn, you know what I should have done last turn? I should have given him a Necromancer, although we can't actually raise them here. Like, can we raise them at Sartosa? No, we cannot. Oh. Well, that's a problem. He really could have used the Corpse Guard or something. Oh well, we'll see. And we'll see what we can do here. This is still going to be very dangerous. Going to be a difficult time bringing down that Kemrian War Sphinx. And the Ushabti, and who knows what else is in this army. It's a pretty elite stack. I'm just wondering if there's anybody close by that could give this guy some help, but if they attack next turn, it won't matter anyway. Kind of hard to say. Alright, well, we'll leave you alone for now, though I may do some items. I'll do it between the episodes, though, so as to not waste time. Anyway, let's continue looking at these guys. Engelbert, you are a temporary lord, and now we just got boosters and buildings. Look at all these piles of boosters that used to be tech thieves. What's Southern Sylvania making right now? 7.1k. I still want to get it to 10k, but we still need to invest quite a bit in it. Alright, well, we'll leave it alone for now, not like it's super critical. Let us quickly attack you here, Kuhar, with all this, and that'll be another army gone from Siggy's faction. And then Kuhar can start taking territories up here, or Kuhar, we can start taking territories. You know what? This is kind of a weak army, so I think we'll auto-resolve it. Yes, this will hurt us, but I honestly don't think it's that big of a deal. And then we can heal up a little bit. I was gonna fight that regular style at max speed anyway. Could you move somewhere where you don't suffer attrition? Yes, you can. This is our controlled area, as a controlled seas, so you can go here. And you should be able to heal. Perfect. And then you'll be at full HP, and then you'll move to Fortress of the Damned next turn. Lovely. And the reason, or at least one of the reasons I wanted to do that, was to get the cinematic fight here for Ermine. Alright, let's give her her spells, or her... well, she doesn't have Wind of Death or Occam's Mind Razor. But the Necromancers cover the... slay them! Cover the needs there. I'm just wondering what else we build. We have the Unliving Host, and we'll probably maintain it. What do we buff, and what do we get rid of? Like, I assume, funnily enough, I assume we're gonna get rid of the regular ghouls. And we'll probably keep the Blood Knights, even though they're stupidly expensive in her army. The Cairn Wraiths are pretty decent against Chaos in particular. Yeah, honestly, we'll probably get rid of these four in terms of the, in terms of being replaced by Terracotta Sentinels. Die! Which means, really, we can get Evil Souls for Cairn Wraiths, we can get Waking Dead for Blood Knights, we can get Creatures of the Night for Crypt Horrors. There's a lot of redline stuff that we could put points into right now. What's the best one? The Blood Knights buff is pretty strong, 8 melee attack and some armor. I think that's probably the best one. Well, actually, the Cairn Wraith one isn't bad either, and there's 4 of them. Alright, fine, let's start with the Cairn Wraiths.
I shall drink them dry.
Yeah, let's start with the Cairn Wraiths. Alright, Evil Souls for you, and let's go for Beguile as well. No, you know what? Let's get Magical Animus. Like so, and then the Necros, I believe, should be good, minus Mentor. Everything else they have, so let's just get you boost income. Let's get you Mentor and boost income. Like so. Looks good to me. And then let's attack.
Time to die.
Oh, I skipped 1 point, but whatever, it's not gonna matter. Here we go. No speech from Ermine? Alright, well, that's a little bit of a shame, but what can you do? At least we didn't get a dark map. This one looks pretty good. I will be happy to see everything, especially as, well, since Ermine's made it to the Crystal Spires, and I'm just seeing that there's... Why is this called the Crystal Spires? It looks neither crystal, and I don't see much in the way of spires either. Well, maybe, if you count the mountain in this thing. Yeah, maybe it's these things. But they don't look crystal either. Anyway, we've made it here, finally a hard target, and this, I think, will be a true test for Ermine's army, because this is definitely one of those situations where you really, really want Mortis Engines. Enemies will protect the gates and blob up around them, and that's where your Mortis Engine absolutely shines, healing every one of your units around said gate at the same time as damaging every enemy unit that's blobbed up around. We usually have those to rely upon in all sieges and are pretty critical to our siege efforts, but don't have them here. Again, some lovely shots of Ermine fighting on the ramparts though, or on the battlements. It's gonna lift off for a second, maybe get some dragon breaths out of there, or nope, just going to reposition, maybe? What are you doing? Well, either way, we're going to get some help in a few seconds as the Cairn Wraiths are now climbing. Zombos are being summoned and the gate will fall shortly with everything trying to break through. We got all 4 units of our Cairn Wraiths climbing the walls as well, so they should be able to dish out some decent damage to the enemy Chosen and stuff up there. Though we will need to be careful as obviously it could still be threatening. There's that Dragon Wraith coming in on some Chaos Knights and knocking them down. Probably would have been better on a infantry unit, but they weren't nearly as blobbed up as the Chaos Knights were. And the Chaos Knights will continue to be distracted by piles of zombies. We got plenty more where that came from. And we gotta prep the area for when the gate is open. There we go. We've broken through, and here come the Blood Knights and whatever else is out there. Crypt Cores, Blood Knights are the main damage dealers of this blob. And they're gonna help the zombies out. Yeah, one more Descension would have been just swell here. But oh well. Looks like the enemy's doing a fairly admirable job of holding back our Cairn Wraiths here. We can see them getting very heavily damaged. Gotta remember, these are not SFO Cairn Wraiths, so they don't have the physical resistance up to where you want them to, and they don't have perfect vigor either, which makes absolutely no sense, but oh well. Alright, well, Ermine's gonna move in to help them out, but by the looks of it, these guys are starting to melt away. Whether Ermine will be able to save them remains to be seen. And the tower hitting the Cairn Wraiths, ooh, very nice. Oh, that's a lot of Chaos, I want to say Warriors and Chosen knocked off the wall there. You gotta love getting a dragon on a wall. Even such elite units just get wrecked. And there we go, unfortunately, our first Cairn Wraith unit will melt away. The other 3 that are fighting together are in much better shape, however. And should be able to take out these Chosen here. Let's see. What's the HP at? These are Chosen with halberds. Actually, these are Chaos Warriors with halberds, but yeah. These guys are pretty much done for. And they don't have the tower support knocking the Cairn Wraiths around, so and without that, they're not going to be able to take out 3 units. Although, of course, with the vigor loss, the Cairn Wraiths are still very much in danger. And it looks like the Chaos Warriors have now routed. We're going to stay up here and kill them as best we can. And then we'll move down to help the rest of our forces, who are still blobbed up around the gate and are being very much held back. The enemy has moved in all those Chaos Knights, Chaos Trolls, all of those monsters, and we aren't quite able to get into the city, or at least not as deep as we'd like. Slaneshi giggle. Yeah, the enemy has made a living wall to block the unliving wall that's trying to get into the settlement. On the bright side, Ermine is still fighting and killing those Chaos Warriors and Chosen up on the walls there. Getting some revenge for the enemy, but we are obviously going to wait until the Dragon Breath comes up and then use it again. Gonna hit to the enemy Giant, and it looks like it's gonna stagger him. And the only reason I decided to hit the Giant is not to do damage, but rather it's because it's a single target and easy to hit the enemy down here. Ermine's also gonna drop down and try to help everybody out. Gonna pop her buffs and debuffs. So let's see, we got Seduction and Poison up on the enemy. Well, we had Poison up on the enemy. Wherever the... wow, surprising number of units aren't poisoned, actually. Considering we have Crypt Cores trying to hit the enemy, yeah. There's too many units blocking each other, I think. Oh, well, a Wind of Death comes down, at least does some damage to the enemy, but it's not an ideal position for it. Yeah, with all these larger units blocking each other, no wonder it's taking so long to dish out any damage. And once again, this is why you really want a Mortis Engine. On the bright side, though, our Necromancers are relatively safe in this blob. They're even kind of close to the enemy lines. In fact, they're directly touching some of the enemies in the crowd. But the number that can hit them is probably low enough so that they're not concerned. Alrighty, we have our Cairn Knights who have finally come down from the walls and are going to help out against the Chosen here. They do quite a lot of armor-piercing damage. So they should be able to overwhelm the side here. And we can keep, since these guys are out of the blob, we can keep these Cairn Wraiths healed by using Overcast Invocations of the Heck that don't interfere by having other units nearby. So that should be quite helpful. Too bad the fourth one died, but it's okay as long as we can make it through, which remains to be seen. Though the balance of power is now a little bit in our favor, the enemy troop count is still very high. In fact, it's we're only about 100 units ahead of the enemy. Ermine trying to get out of the fray now. I'm going to summon some zombies. Her Dragon's Breath is up once again. And we can't be fighting while the Dragon's Breath is up. Got to get that additional little bit of extra damage in there. Although the Chaos Knights and Trolls are trying to follow her and prevent her from lifting off. But of course, being out here means that she can target them a lot easier, so this might actually be a good thing. Just kill enemy units on the periphery like this, rather than where all the units block each other. There you go, Ermine. Take advantage of that. And let's see, looks like some enemy units have made it up on the walls as well. Gotta give the highlight to the Cairn race in this particular episode, both for, well, one of the units getting destroyed, but also for the nice little duels they keep getting with the enemy Chaos Warriors and Chosen. A very long battle as far as vanilla battles are concerned as well. We're already 7 minutes in and haven't yet broken through, though we are now making some headway deeper into the enemy settlement. Ermine has also gotten somewhat beat up here and is, let's see, healing capped now at 5k. Which ain't so great. We're actually going to get her out of the fight for a little while, and we're going to go in and destroy that tower. Probably should have had her do it a little bit earlier, after getting her Dragon's Breath in. There we go, not too bad, and then away she goes for the tower. In a second. Ermine. Come back. Oh, you're just gonna fly overhead and then drop some buffs and debuffs on the enemy. Before we leave, the Seduction will lower the enemy melee attack. And oh wow, the Chaos Warriors are down to 0 melee attack. Noxious Gas in combination with the Seduction. Okay, up to 6 with just Seduction, but still pretty bad. With Seduction up, our main line shouldn't be too much in trouble, which will allow us to destroy that tower. Although the enemy is still absolutely blocking us with all those bodies. At least the Cairn Wraiths are still destroying enemies on the sides, and we'll soon be able to help out in the main portion. It looks like the Blood Knights have also almost made it through to the Cairn Wraiths. Once these guys connect, they'll be able to loop out and start to hit the enemy in the side as well. That will probably sign the collapse of this enemy army. There's another Invocation of the Heck overcast on our Cairn Wraiths. Got to keep them in tip-top shape, or as tip-top as we can get here. Man, I have to wonder how much damage a Mortis Engine would have done in this situation. It's not like we have other flyers as well to do a lot of stuff in the background. Well, either way, the Blood Knights have finally made it through, and the Cairn Wraiths are moving out as well. They're just going to try to chase down some Knights and draw out more enemies from the blob here. The less enemies that are blobbed up together, the more advantage we will have, as we can destroy them piecemeal. As weird as that sounds, because usually them blobbing up definitely pays, or is in our favor, and just not this time around. Alright, just a matter of grinding the enemy down now. Once again, not tactically very interesting because the entire fight is around one gate, but it is a nice epic contest of who will ground who down. Attrition-y, as it were. The Giant has been also whacking away at us this entire battle. What's he done? 20k damage, very respectable. And Ermine has destroyed the tower in the background, the towers, I should say, as she's taken out both, and is coming back to help, though it looks like with us having broken through to this side, the battle is nearly ours. The bounce power at about 80%, maybe higher, in our favor. The enemy Lord has also been sighted, and we're going to drop down on him with Ermine. Otherwise, it was impossible to find him or even hit him in the press. And he should be destroyed very quickly. I can't tell if he's dead or not. I see the chariot. No, the chariot is destroyed. Alrighty, lovely. Enemy Lord is down, and it looks like that's a decent amount of a morale debuff. The enemy's also getting a Curse of Years on them, so more melee attack reduction. I don't expect too much more damage to to come from the enemy force. We've nearly broken through on this side as well. I see some Chaos Knights running, and in fact, the rest of the army will shatter, together with the Lord and Ermain, will be victorious. No more Descension needed. Though it would have certainly helped. Alrighty. Very, very nice. Good job to the enemy for blocking us off for so long and, you know, taking advantage of what it had. I'm almost regretful of not sending in a couple of Blood Knights to ride around and go through another gate. Could have obviously done that, and I didn't think it might have warranted it, especially since we went up on the walls with our cairn rates, but once again, without the Mortis engine, in this particular situation, it might have made the battle go by faster. On the other hand, if the enemy Chaos Knights just did the same thing where the Blood Knights were, then really we would have had the same situation happening in two locations. It would have probably made the battle go by a little bit faster, but then Ermain would have had to move to support the Blood Knights, because they obviously wouldn't have had the Unholy Lodestones from the Necros. Well, either way, fun little battle, close to victory, and another Chaos Stronghold will fall. Ooh, alrighty, looks like the Chosen and the Chaos Knights actually did show up. They did a decent job defending that gate there. It certainly took some effort to take. 24k damage on Ermain, probably primarily from the Dragon's Breaths, and the most damage probably... Actually, that is the most damage dealt, which is pretty good. We only got one Wind of Death off, and frankly, because we were in a blob, the Wind of Death was just as much a danger to us as it was to the enemy. Could have actually really used the Pit of Shades there or something like that. But anyway, at least we managed to pull it off, and the one unit that was destroyed on the walls, our cairn rates did come back via the Dead Rise, which I'm pretty happy about as well. We're going to sack the place. And we're going to occupy it immediately after. We don't really care about its level. But we do want to hold the place to just allow us to heal up. Alrighty, and we will not be collecting income, and already our Vampiric Corruption is pretty high here because of the Port of Secrets. Beautiful. We can repair the place. Oh man, the cost of repairs is pretty intense. Maybe we'll hold off on that. Yeah, let's just make sure we build one of these Balefire Braziers here, but otherwise, I'm not sure that we care enough to actually defend it, especially once we'd managed to take out the Howling Citadel, which and it looks like it'll also be a hard target, similar to this one, because it's of the same type. Alright, well, nonetheless, that'll mean another fun fight for Ermain, and that time it will be with the help of the Terracotta Sentinels. We'll see how they fare, though obviously they have the issue of not being able to heal. But can these guys attack walls? That's a siege attacker, isn't it?
Expand Sylvania's borders.
If they can break walls, that would be really great. I don't know whether they can or they can't. And we can't click on them right now. Oh, actually, wait, there is a way to click on them, and it is like this. Alrighty, so yeah, you have Siege Attacker allowing you to attack city gates. Is it Wall Breaker that you need for it to actually be able to break walls? Can't actually tell with all of these other units. Well, regardless, not super important right now. We'll figure it out as we go. I do think that particular battle was a good showcase of exactly why a Mortis engine is fantastic. All the entire enemy team, the entire enemy army was blobbed up around the gate, where the Mortis engine effect, the damage over time, would have been dealing damage the entire battle to the entire set of enemies, which would have been so damn much. A Mortis engine probably would have gotten over 50k damage there just by its presence alone, possibly even more than that. But anyway, with that, we're out of time, so I'm going to have to call it. Next time, Ermain continues dealing with the remnants of Archaon's faction. Hopefully, we can destroy them for good over the next few episodes, and then continue to link everybody up. We'll also have to continue begin our proper invasion of the Northern Chaos Wastes, and we'll be doing so with new armies as soon as they're ready to go. Vlad's up north. Lots of places basically where we're still waiting for lots of battles, and perhaps, just perhaps, Bathilda can take the Fortress of Dawn and vassalize the ghosts of Pahwaks if they don't attack. Find out whether that's the case next time. Don't forget to leave a like and comment. All glory to the algorithm. And thanks for watching.